Very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on the Thursday edition of the show. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Well, it feels so good to be here. Compliments of the season to you once again. On the show tonight, we'll be talking about the English Premier League. We'll be looking at things happening, Boxing Day matches, the results, and of course the one currently going on as we speak. We'll also pick out for you our memorable moments in 2024 in the world of sports, especially for Nigeria. We'll do that. Also talk about the rescheduled game in the Nigeria Premier Football League. It promises to be exciting, so sit back and relax. As you already know, it's a two-man show. My colleague, Austin Okonakman, is suited and ready as we take you along this ride.
What a greetings to you wherever you are in the world watching us. Merry Christmas and Happy Boxing Day is also appropriate. Action-packed world of sports here. I mean, so much going on right here in England. We're monitoring the Premier League. And what a story. The struggles continue for Ruben Amorim and Manchester United. What is the way out of this? It's not just Manchester United. Manchester City is also struggling to win. They didn't win that game against Everton. And fantastic result for Fulham going to Stamford Bridge to stun Chelsea. And I'm saying Boxing Day brought really surprises. I was asking who deserves a good Boxing Day gift, and it seems like the small teams are like, we wanted Austin, and they're getting it. It's good to see 2024 winding down, and gracious goodness, what a year it was. We had the Olympics, we had the Paralympics, heavyweight boxing got us talking, we had the Euros. So much went down in our world of sports. We had the AFCON, and of course, it's looking like it's going to, take that same momentum into 2025, Yanni, because we're going to have the AFCON again, and I just can't wait for us to, get into this, relive the moment, and see some good lessons we can take back, to talk particularly with sports development in Nigeria.
All right, so interesting. And as part of our review, I'll just throw something in, maybe a bucket list for 2025. I already have one. Let me quickly introduce our guest in the Lagos studio, Bolu Omoni. He joins us now. This was it. Lovely Thursday evening. Bolu, greetings to you. Thanks for being with us on such a day as this. Another opportunity to talk sports.
Well, like also rightly said, the Boxing Day is giving gifts to all the minnows in quote in sport, United collector. It feels like Omori at all. As in fact,
in local palace,
he has had less points in 7 games than Ten Hag had in his last 7 games for Man United. Things are not really working for the Old Trafford guys. Spoke about Man City, it didn't work out well for them. Chelsea flying well, it didn't work out well for them. Now, Liverpool fans are getting worried. I hope this thing will turn out well. Like you rightly mentioned, the NPFL, no goals, but the excitement is always there. I call it the most competitive league in the world. If you think any other league across Europe is competitive, follow NPFL for just 3 weeks or 4 weeks. You'll understand why we call it the most competitive. I'm sure we're going to have a jolly ride tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure we do. And so that's the outlook of the show. And at some point, we'll have one more person join us, especially when we begin to talk about the English Premier League. But we want to start off the show tonight. As we begin, should we say, a post-mortem of sporting activities in 2024. And tonight, our producer has picked out some moments. You could call them crowning moments for Nigerian sports in 2024, but I must burst your bubble and say not many of them. It has to be said, not many of them in 2024. But we will take a look at those moments where we can all agree it was a good moment. I'll go across in a bit to reel out some of those moments. We'll talk about it. We'll see whether Bolu agrees or not, and we'll talk about it. Let me just quickly go across the screen and talk about key moments for Nigerian sports in 2024. And number one on the list, and it happened very early in the year, the Super Eagles reaching yet another African Cup of Nations final, and we could have won. If we had luck on the night. So we got to the final. Yeah, Nigeria's D Tigers, their historic achievement of reaching the Olympics quarterfinals for the first time was a monumental step for women's basketball in Nigeria. It must be said. All right. And also, Eniola Bolaji becoming the first African athlete to claim a medal in para badminton is something worth celebrated. for Nigerian sports and even on the continent. You'll also look at cricket. In cricket, Nigeria's under-19 women's cricket team qualifying for the 2025 ICC Under-19 Women's World Cup in Malaysia, securing Africa's sole spot in the tournament. That's very impressive considering the fact that you have many strong cricket-playing nations in the continent. Then, the Super Eagles of Nigeria qualifying for the 2025 African Cup of Nations. Then a crowning moment, Nigeria winning back-to-back as we did some years ago with Rashid Yekini to Emmanuel Amunike winning back-to-back. Ademola Lookman's crowning as the African Player of the Year. All right, Bolu, these are the things we've picked out. Before I go to Austin, anything you think we left out in this?
Well, first off, Leicester scored against Liverpool at Anfield. It seems the Boxing Day gift is really, really boxing out.
Yeah.
I think for me, the qualifying for AFCON 2025, we shouldn't even be talking about it. We should have left from. But I think the biggest for me, I can't remember her name, the lady who won silver at the Olympics after breaking her arm about 24 hours before her event, and they felt like she was not good enough to compete, but she still did well, and it was this close to winning the gold medal, but she played someone probably was way better. I think that has to be one of the biggest moments for me.
You?
Yeah, okay. Being a Nigerian, and like he rightly says in the breakdown, the first has to be how Nigerians. I remember as at December, many Nigerians didn't care. At least they were saying they didn't care about the Super Eagles. Who said the Super Eagles? I don't care about. Those were the things we were hearing in the group stages, waiting then they play until they started moving further. Oh, okay, these guys are pushing for. Especially what Peseo showed us before the tournament. I didn't believe in him, but getting to the final of the AFCON, yes, we wish we could have won, but getting the final for me was a big start as a Nigerian in terms of sport, and everything trickled down. And what a way to end it. And for Victor Ademola Lookman, remember when we were talking about the day CAF was supposed to reduce to 3? And they said, oh, it was too close. I said, CAF, don't play any games. But Lookman did so well, back-to-back. We did it with Yekina and Amunike, you mentioned them. We went from Mekmeba and Kano. Now Osimhen and Ademola Lookman. Now, in fact, both of them are already playing for next year. It's been an amazing year. We have a few blips, yes. But overall, I think Nigerians, we could... the future is bright. The future looks bright. The 15-year-old girl also went to the Olympic Games to swim and represent Nigeria. Yeah, not Nigerian trained, but she's Nigerian, represented the country. The future is bright for Nigeria. Hopefully, we can do everything well to make sure we align everything in the right path.
If you have a grading system, so what would it be? A, B, C, D, or E, or F?
If I have a grading system, because we've had too many things, yes, the Olympics came with literally nothing, but there were still stories to pick out from. There were still good. So for Olympics, you may do maybe a D for them. A D, like they say in school, is a pass. But Paralympics always exceeding our expectation. For football, the other side is we qualify for AFCON. We won. You call Ademola Lookman because of football. You can call that A as well to our next. So overall, if we are bringing it together, maybe I'll do a C for sport in Nigeria for 2024.
All right, that's good. So let me give the floor to Austin. Probably has one or two moments that probably should have met our list. I agree with everything our producer has put out, by the way. So, I mean, Austin, your thoughts, Nigerian sports in 2024?
Topsy-turvy ride. Let me join Bolu to pick Esther Wogu's historic performance at the Paralympics as one of my moments also, because I was right there at the De La Chapelle Arena in Paris. She broke the world record with a broken shoulder. And I thought that was really, something extraordinary. Sports in Nigeria in 2024 came with a lot of lessons again, right from the AFCON to the Olympics to us bringing back the National Sports Commission. In all of these things, there were deep reflections. We need to reflect that as a country, what do we want to do with sports? And then the president gave a very clear mandate to say, build a sports economy. I like it. And the NSC has got leadership now that we believe can turn things around. I'm begging them every day. We're appealing. Don't fail us, because it's time for us to start doing good with our sports. We have the numbers, we've got the talent, we've got the passionate followers that can go any length to support the country. Leadership is what is missing. And everything rises and falls on leadership. Let's start from the AFCON. In what way did we prepare for the AFCON? We didn't do so much, but with what was injected into it, the passion, the love that we have as a country for football, they launched that mantra, let's do it again. And that was what took us all the way to the final. We're this close. But it tells you that for you to win, you must go all the way. You must tick all the right boxes. And then the Olympics came. The same old problems were exposed. Tells you we don't learn. From favor or Philly issue, to the kids issue, to athletes not wanting to distract themselves with complaining about athletes' welfare and all of that. Again, in all of this, Yemi, it was leadership. Did we do well? Yes, in some aspects. No, in some aspects. In terms of performance, our athletes always turn up. The day Tigress got everyone talking about Nigeria at the Olympics. Favor Ofili, despite all of our troubles, she still made it to the 200 meters final. We got to the Paralympics. It happens to be the worst Paralympics that we've had, but they still won medals, 7 medals, 2 gold medals. But you see, it came back with all of those things that I talked about that we need to reflect. And that's the position where we are now. 2024 is gone. But what lessons can we take into 2025? This new leadership in the NSC, what can they do now to turn it around? What recommendations can they bring? What words can be turned into action? We want to see action. We want to see results. We want to see sports in Nigeria in 2025 sitting in that right place where it should be in Africa. Rwanda is bidding to host Formula One race. Morocco, they are gone. Tanzania, Kenya, they are putting together the AFCON and trying to, prove to us that, look, if the giants of Africa want to be asleep, we want to stay awake. So it's time for us to reflect, get up, put words to action, and start getting those results.
I agree. So, so that it doesn't look as if I'm sitting on the fence all the time, great, I'll go with a D. Overall, there were some good moments, many not so good moments, some downright ugly. We didn't do too badly, but it's a D for me. We could do better. The potentials are there. I agree that our athletes always turn up. I agree that they always perform well. It doesn't reflect on the result board, though. It must be said. Sometimes your best may not be good enough. Most times not because of what you did or did not do. Overall, a D, and I say that with a huge sense of responsibility because I know it could be better. We can be better. We should be better. And you've rightly given the administrators, you've said some things they should be doing, a reality check. If we get it right from there, 2025 should be better. And so for me, it's a D. So I'll pass the ball back to you quickly before we move on to other issues. An overall grading system. You said it in a few words, but if you want to put it into grades, what will it be?
I'll give it a C. I'll give it a C because I thought there were positives that we need to work on. I'll give it a C because our talent still gave 100%, gave Nigeria a good representation. I'll give it a C because we started moving away from football a bit. Not because our administrators don't want to talk football, because the athletes said, no, it's about time they should also talk about us. Badminton, we talked about it big time, at the Olympics and what they did. Basketball also got us talking. To an extent, even athletics. So if I look at performance, athletes' dedication, even the fans, their dedication, their loyalty, that's why I want to stay in between. I want to stay at C. And let administrators know that, look, they can actually do the work that will be the crowning glory. that 70% that I'm always saying we must do before we compete, Yemi, logistics, administration, the whole background work, planning, organizing, we have to be on point with all of that. Policy making, implementation, we have to be on point with that. And maybe we'll not get to a B and start thinking of how we can get to, score A someday. But with a C for 2024, athletes' performance, 100%. Super Eagles gave their beat, got to the final. The Paralympians, they fought, gave their beat, won medals. The D Tigers broke record as first African team to make it ever to the quarterfinals at the Olympics. They did their beat. Miriam Bolaji broke history. Folashade Oluwafemi Ayo broke her own record. So athletes are always turning up. It's time for administrators to do their part.
I agree. Bolu, if you have a bucket list for 2025 sports, what will it be? Let me talk first. I would give anything to see the Super Eagles qualify for the World Cup, because it's hard to imagine us not being in 2 editions back to back. Can we do it? That's a different question altogether. But on my bucket list, on something I wish, it would definitely have to be the Super Eagles qualifying. For those who care about the Super Eagles, that has to be the number one. They have to. It's a must. We can't miss back-to-back World Cups. That has to be number one. Then 2 has to be Falcons. I can't remember the last time we had Falcons and Super Eagles winning the AFCON and WAFCON the same year. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing wrong in the Super Eagles picking up one later, even though it will roll in 2025, 6, but to start 2025, and the Falcons also winning. Let's have the 2 titles together. Those has to be the 3 major things: qualify for the World Cup, win the AFCON, then the WAFCON as well. So we can let everybody know the Giant of Africa, we are back. It's not just words of mouth. Then other events are definitely passed across. Right. And like Austin said, we spoke about lots of sports this year, not just football. And I hope 2025 will be much better than that. I hope so too. All right. Let's go on a break. Right about now, Austin will tell us the things on his bucket list. We're also going to talk about the Nigerian Premier Football League. And of course, we'll travel to the United Kingdom to talk about the English Premier League. So let's go on that break. We'll come back for more Sports Tonight. All right, welcome back. We're talking about Nigerian sports in 2024. Of course, the key moments in 2024. We just, before we went on that break, we talk about things on our bucket list. Bolu has said this. I've said mine as well. Whatever happens, the Super Eagles must qualify for the next World Cup. What are those things all say once in 25? But I definitely know the Super Eagles qualifying will be number one. So, also take it from there. Before we talk about the NPFL, things on your bucket list, things high on your wish list for Nigerian sports in 2025.
Surprisingly, I would like to see how this NSC will reposition football in Nigeria. Now, I didn't say sports, I said football, because if they are to build that sports economy, football will play a big role. And what is the system on ground already? League football. We'll soon get into it. I want to see how they can package the NPFL, the NNL, the NLO to make it look good, for business. I want to see how they will tap into the grassroots and see how to make our football look attractive again, so that it can now attract private investors and sponsors. That's a big one on my bucket list. I join you to say, I would say must. It will be good to see the Super Eagles qualify for the World Cup, because it's going to be a different World Cup entirely. And if they are expanding it, it's just only, July's word now, normal, that Nigeria, from Africa, that Nigeria isn't missing. It will be so damaging for our football if we do not qualify for that World Cup. And it's already looking bad. But let's just see. If the god of football, if the stars will realign for Nigeria and say, this time around, learn your mistakes and don't ever do it again. I'd like to see the Super Falcons take their rightful position with football in Africa. I'd like to see them win their WAFCON. It's about time, The disrespect is getting too much. And again, it's because the other countries are working. Check the countries who are doing so well with women's football. Zambia, Morocco, South Africa. You can even put Ghana if you want. They are being deliberate with their planning, investments, and that's why we're seeing the things we are seeing. We need to do the same for the Super Falcons. It's clear now that talent doesn't do it alone. The AFCON, we made it to the final the last time, Yemi. Wouldn't it be sweet if we can just, go to Morocco this time around and win it? That is also on my bucket list. So let's wait and see what 2024 will give. But with all of these things, Yemi, we can only talk. The guys who need, to make it come to pass, need to get to work, put work to action, and see ways I'll start getting these results.
All right. Hopefully that will be the case. All right, let's briefly talk about the Nigeria Premier Football League and the results of a game played today. I'll just go across the screen. We talk about, and I'm going to ask Bolu if, I jokingly said, it's a game between Plateau United and Enyimba. And of course, Enyimba has to start clearing the backlog. I jokingly said, look, they need to start winning these games if they have any intention of coming back to be on the continent. I mean, not even talking about winning the league this time. But Bolu, any surprises?
Well, the surprise is that Enyimba picked a point away from home in this game, but Plateau United themselves, they've not been very spectacular. Enyimba started the season well, and it felt like Finidi is going, they're finding a way to get back. But things have not, the last 1 month have been terrible for them, both in the league and on the continent, losing terribly on the continent, and NPFL finding ways. Because we know Enyimba, the way they play when they're on the continent, they're always hovering around maybe 5th or 6th in the NPFL. Then when they start playing their outstanding matches, they push back to it. But this time around, whatever happens to their standing games, they will still be out of the top four, which is rare for an Enyimba side. So they need to get back to winning. They need. Sometimes, like we say, I think Austin said that football is more mental than what you do on the field of play. You have to win before you get to the field of play, before you even wear your boot. And that's one of the things I feel is affecting Enyimba, the travels and every year. So they need to find a way to start winning. Playing on the continent shouldn't be a burden on Nigerian clubs, but sadly, it is more often than not a burden. That's why they miss so many games. Even when they're playing the league game at home and the continental game at home, they will still miss that match. So it's becoming more of a burden. We need to find a way, and it still boils down to packaging. Yeah. What Austin mentioned earlier. Until everything is well mapped out. I was thinking to myself that it feels like maybe Nigerian brands are not interested in our league. We can find a way to make it internationally. Why? How can it happen? Number one, there's no way we can sell the NPFL without putting it on TV. Proper TV, not stream, not watch 2 games in 10. All our matches have to be on TV. There has to be a way, because until we start selling these things, and also said football will have to play a major role with our marketing. And you have to make
TV will also allow you make stars. Mm-hmm. Stars are the reasons why people come to watch. Yep. You want to see Djokovic, you want to see Rafael Nadal. I mean, the focus on when Nadal he said he was going to do something in like next 3-4 months, and everything he was doing between that point until the last game he played, everybody followed. Yep. And all of these guys are stars, not just because of their craft, but because of the attention and the spotlight that is on them. And that's why I agree with you. 100% TV has to play an integral part.
I spoke with the late consultant one time about they did something for basketball. How do you guys make this thing work? Can't it work in football? And he said something that was that he has never gone to any state and see that, this is the billboard of this player in the NPFL.
Nobody knows.
I remember when it was in Neymar that was supposed to play a preseason game and they said he wasn't playing. The fans said they were not watching Refundos. It means it's Messi. Not every time. Was it Messi? It's not every time you want to watch it. Sometimes it's one player that attracts. And even me that I follow the NPFL, I know many of these players by name. I don't know what they look like. I don't know what some of our local players. I only know them because I follow the trade. Exactly. We know many of the names, but we don't. I can walk past some NPFL superstars. I'll just want to go, wow, this is this guy. How do you know them? I need to see them regularly. Is it hard? Yes, it's difficult. Is it possible? Very, very possible. There has to be proper partnership. I read the news about how the president has given a committee with money. Yes, all these things are good, but there has to be a well-planned. If not, we can put $100 million and in 2 weeks we just know everything is gone. We keep going back and forth. There has to be a proper plan. Can the NPFL work? Yes, it can work. Can we have proper marketing? Yes, but we need to put round pegs in round holes not dotting the T's and crossing the I's. We need to do the right thing. If not, everything will work out well.
All right. I mean, let me see what Austin has to say. I feel probably will agree with us. Some of these things need to be done.
You know, I mean, we've said these things over and over again, and people who know me, I've done my bit in trying to promote league football in Nigeria, because that's the real system. You know, back in the day when our football was doing well, go check the Premier League in the country. It was good, you know. The days in the 80s when the Green Eagles were doing so well, how many players were playing abroad? They were looking forward to it. But the problem is that when league football in Europe got into television, we refused to follow. We didn't move with the trend. And that's why we are where we are now. They must find a way to fix it. And let's not also ignore the corruption that has now come into our football. People complain about officiating and all sorts that happens with the football. So we must find a way to correct that. And that's why I like that what happened to us in 2024 calls for a reflection. If it's going to be a sober one, let's do it and say to ourselves that it's towards making our football good, because we have the talent. And just as you said, Bolu, we need to make superstars. You know, I want to be here in London and follow what's going on in Nigeria and talk about our players the same way we talk about the big stars in Europe. And why do people talk about the big stars in Europe? They're in their faces. Every time there's a game, they go out there. Even if you go to the rural areas, they've got viewing centers where they go to watch. Call somebody in a rural area that knows Chelsea. He will tell you the starting 11 and tell you how the coach should have approached the game. We should do the same for our football, you know, because what we're calling international football back home, here in the United Kingdom where I am, it's still local football. You see what I'm saying? But it's so big that people now see it as a big brand. So we should do the same. And the MPFL has got the stars. The MPFL has got some, you know, passionate followers also. I would just need to find a way to build the markets. And you must invest, you know, and do purposeful planning. Shout out to the last board led by Benga Elegbele. They seem to have brought some, you know, spark into it. But now we're not really seeing the games on TV. It has to get back on TV. We're not complaining so much about officiating. Let's keep it that way. A bit of fans trouble here and there. It has to stop completely. So let's do more with fans education. I know people can be so passionate and react. It happens here too in England. But there must be prompt response, you know. Crowd control must be in place. Good security. People should be able to go to the stadium and use the toilets. People should go to the stadium and feel safe, enjoy the game, teach fans that the game is fair play. It's not win at all costs. The government clubs, if you want to take government, if you want to keep your clubs in the league, treat it as business and don't try to influence it in any way. I mean, when we do all of these things, trust me, you and I will come here in the next 5 years, we'll give you a 5-year plan, and we'll say to ourselves, is this the same Aimba that we know? Because everything would have changed, and clubs will begin to feel the impacts.
Yeah, I hope so. How the administrators are listening and do what we expect. All right, with the few minutes we have left, let's quickly take a look at today's result. Austin is refreshing his tab, I know. Bolu as well is trying to get me some results. But the ones we already have, Manchester City played a 1-1 draw with Everton. The problem is deeper than we thought. Erling Haaland losing a penalty kick. Bournemouth put a goalless draw with Crystal Palace. Chelsea scoring first, but still ending up losing at Stamford Bridge. They lost to Fulham. Newcastle United beat Aston Villa 3-0. These are some of the results from Boxing Day. Nottingham Forest, Olaino, Nigeria's right back, put in a good showing as they beat Tottenham 1-0. West Ham went away to Southampton at the St. Mary's Stadium, beat Southampton 1-0. Manchester United with Ruben Amorim, it's not looking good. Bolu gave you the stats for Manchester United under his reign. They lost 2-0 Bruno Fernandes getting a red card in that game. There's a game currently going on, Liverpool playing, but we'll talk about that as we move on. Bolu, let me get your thoughts. Let's start with Manchester City. In the conversation we had off camera, we really don't have time, but just find a way to make your point. You talked about the problem being deeper than we imagine, but then you also balance it by saying all the other top teams are not consistent as well. And that is why with all that is happening to City, they're still in the top 5.
Well, it's similar to Nigeria in the World Cup group. We are terrible. Others are still not far off as well. People have given different excuses to Rodri, and I've told you, Rodri played 3 games this season with Man City. They won just one of them. So it's not a Rodri situation on the loan. De Bruyne has been back for a while. He's still not playing. It's more like you will have your downtime no matter how. The great Galacticos team had 3 years trophyless. United under Fergie had 3 years trophy. So people think they have to win every time. Unfortunately for them, exactly. Even post Pep Guardiola, it will always happen. Bayern Munich kept winning the Bundesliga. Last season, they didn't even finish first or second. There will be times where you will lose. The question is, when are they going to bounce back? Will it be this season or next season? But no matter how great you are as a team, you will definitely have your downside.
All right. Let me go to Austin. Probably tell us a thing or two about the Liverpool game and what you have on screen. I don't know what to say. Okay, let's quickly listen to one of the managers. Let's do that quickly. Probably Pep Guardiola. We'll come back to talk some more.
No. We shoot know how many shoots, and first half was brilliant. The first 10-15 minutes until the penalty was really good. The first time they arrived, they scored a goal at the end. Of course, the transition, we could suffer the defeat. But we analyze the result. Of course, we are not happy. But the performance and we have done the guys again with the situation they were brilliant. Of course, we didn't score the goals that we need. But no, I'm not. There are other days like I'm more because I don't see many things I like the way they play, but today was not the case. Life is not easy, sport is not easy. When that happens, it's okay. However, still a lot of minutes to play. We had the chances afterwards, except the last uncontrolled game in the last minutes that everything could happen. The rest of the game was well played, so it's not easy. We create a lot of chances. A team like Arsenal and Chelsea could not score. We did it, and incredible how they run and fight and do everything what we talk, what we are, and we miss some games. It was not good, but today the case was well played. This is my feeling. Al had flu, virus. Jack yesterday or the day before under the training, they will feel something in muscular again. So I don't know the reason why Ederson doesn't feel good, and the other one does the same.
Pep Guardiola speaking there. Austin, we talk about City all the time. Should we also acknowledge that the English Premier League is tough and some of these teams would rather die than lose?
I know, Yemi, and I said it on this show. I said, Ruben Amorim, you will soon find out that the job you've taken is not easy, And today I just said to him, welcome to the Premier League, where they take no prisoners. The game between Liverpool and Leicester City, the game is in its 39th minute now. Jordan Ayew gave Leicester, the away team, the lead, and that's his 50th English club goal in his career. This is a league that you would expect a Fulham to, maybe when they are not doing so well, to draw. But just because it's a London derby, when they say Chelsea or say Arsenal, they are not losing. So it's 3 straight defeats for Ruben Amorim and Manchester United. And I said it that Eric Ten Hag will be somewhere with his hands on his cheek. He's watching and saying, I told these guys that I'm not the problem. I don't know how he's going to come out of it, but it's a big, big problem. For Manchester United, for Manchester City, and Pep Guardiola, it's a mental problem. I've concluded that this is a deep psychological problem. And it seems the God of football just wants them to go through it. And they just need to find a way to get out of it, because I just can't understand why they didn't win today against Everton. Alan missing a penalty. I think since the time he told Mikel Arteta to be humble, he has got just 1 goal. That's a long time ago. So in this league, you must do everything you can not to be your own distraction. Because the problems you bring upon yourself, they'll come back to haunt you. See City and their 115 charges. See Manchester United and the players and the player management issue. Look at how Mikel Arteta, after the Aubameyang issue, has tried so hard to make sure that everything is going on well with his players. That's just how to stay out of trouble. Same thing that Postecoglou is doing. Same thing that Arne Slot is doing with his Liverpool team. When that Salah contract renewal thing was coming up, they found a way to just push it aside and address it internally. That's the only way to stay focused in this league, because if you have just one small problem and you bring it out, the media will help you blow it up, and then that problem will become palaver.
All right. I'm sure my producer will let us know if there are some other clips we might need to play. But Bolu, do you agree that it is, we see these results because some of these lesser teams, I don't know which is it. Is it that these so-called big teams are struggling, or that the smaller ones just give it a good fight?
It's a bit of both. For the struggling big teams, football, we've said over time, is sometimes mental. When you're losing, if a team is going on a beautiful streak and you lose a game, you need to react immediately. If you lose another like back-to-back and they start playing in your mind, you see City players, they've achieved literally everything. They've won everything that is there to win. The question is, how do you now challenge yourself to do much more? Now they have just won in 13 matches. How do you bring them back as a manager? Those are the things that will be running through the manager's mind. The ever-exciting, jovial Pep Guardiola press conferences now is a very serious one, talking much more calmer. And the lesser teams, nobody wants to drop to the championship.
Yeah.
Because championship has showed you hardly come back immediately. When you go down, you play more matches in the championship. Then when you don't qualify as first or second, you go through the players and everything. So the younger teams are also doing so. So it's a bit of both. The bigger teams, if you lose your mental state, if you drop anything, the younger boys were ready to pick up. Austin mentioned Fulham. London derbies, now Fulham may lose to everybody. When it's time for London derbies, they rise up to the occasion. And that is what an exciting league does for you. And the Premier League delivers just that.
It delivers just that. All right. So Bolu said it, and that's the picture on the screen. That game, Chelsea and Fulham. Maresca, not a happy man after that game. Muniz scoring the goal that gave Fulham the victory. All right, but let's quickly go back to that game we've been talking about earlier. Sean Dyche, the Everton manager, has a few words to say after getting the result against Manchester City.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been 3. I think they would have been stretching it. I think they're a very good outfit. For the game, you're wondering, are they going to click again? Because they will do at some point. And I thought we did well to stop that from happening as a team. And they scored, and it was a scruffy one. A lucky one, dare I say, with a strange sort of spin on the ball, which takes it in. And you wonder if that seemed to settle us down. I don't think we were as good as we have been the last few games at that stage. We settled down a little bit, and then we scored a fine goal ourselves, and then we defended very well for the rest of the game. And of course, I mean, we had chances to break away in the second half, and one right at the end when you do wonder if we could have nicked it. But I think it would have been harsh on them, so I think we take the point. I was not really surprised or relieved. You know, we believe in what we do as well, and I thought we set our stall up really early in the game. Like I say, the only thing I was worried about was not the shape. It was just a bit of the intent. It was just lacking a bit of intent. Maybe, of course, early kick-off and Boxing Day and all them things, they all play into it a little bit. But I think that grew as the game went on, and I was really pleased with our goal. It's a really, really good goal, a great finish.
All right, Sean Dyche speaking there. All right, let's quickly take a look at matches to be played tomorrow as we prepare to wind up. We're winding down, actually. Matches to be played tomorrow in the English Premier League. The Gunners will be in action, and when that is ready, I'll just quickly go across. Brighton will be in action as well. Arsenal will be in action. There you go. Brighton will take on Brentford. Arsenal will take on Ipswich Town. Those are the 2 matches to be played tomorrow. I don't know how much time we have left, but let's see if we can quickly listen to Mikel Arteta, and of course we wrap things up when we return. Let's listen to Mikel Arteta speaking about the game tomorrow. Come back to wrap things up.
Yeah, it's a huge one. Obviously, it's a big player for us. You just have to see the impact that it's got on the team. But it's going to go a really good exercise for all of us to think about ways to overcome another challenge, because we already have a lot in the season. I'll be out for weeks, I believe. He needs some further testing tomorrow to understand the extent of the injury. It's his knee, and I will have to wait and see another 24 hours, but unfortunately he's going to be out for a while, yeah. We have to look internally what we have and be creative, do a very good exercise again. How can we mold the squad? How can we adapt to the circumstances and be different? We cannot pretend to be the same. We're going to have to be different and trying to find the best way to do it and be very competitive and win a lot of games. Yeah, that's a great point. And when I talked about the priorities the other day in my 5 years here and the way they've been shifted, probably they've been shifted to what you just mentioned, because we realized that the first thing is a human being, then, okay, that energy, that emotion, how the team is feeling about it, and just always drifting that temperature to make sure it's the right one for the event that we just have in front of us. Very impressed. I always like Kieran. I have a lot of people that knows him very closely, and they always talk great things about him. You can tell how they coach, what they are trying to do. I think they've been very, very unfortunate in many games, not getting the results that they deserve. So, very tough game for sure.
Very tough game for sure. All right. Of course, we're very close to the finish line. But also your thoughts, even as we prepare to wrap things up, what's the situation with the Liverpool game and your thoughts on the comments of Mikel Arteta?
I think Mikel Arteta, like never before, understands that they need to, build a momentum and find a way to sustain it. For instance, if they beat Ipswich, they'll rise up to second on the table. That's very important. And then find a way to create that balance, particularly when you need to win important matches. You must go on to win that matches, otherwise you start asking questions, So they need to show it starting from tomorrow, because now the fixtures get congested as we move, further into the new year. So any team that is not picking up the crucial points now will definitely struggle. Quick check on what's going on in the game between Liverpool and Leicester City. Cody Gakpo has just scored for the Reds, so it's Liverpool 1, Leicester City 1. Arne Slot and his team, I saw the way they rearranged themselves right after Jordan Ayew gave the Foxes the lead, and then they started doing the positional play, and then they were holding on to the ball properly, and now they have their equalizer going into the break. Very important. I'm sure when they get back, they'll be looking for ways that they can just go on to win that one. Now, that's strategy, call it tactics, call it whatever you want to call, but it's everything that Manchester City and Manchester United doesn't have at the moment. That's the show in London. I'm Austin Okonakpan. In everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
It's a wrap here as well on the show, but before I go, I want to thank Bolo Money for his time on the show today.
It's always welcome. Yeah. I'll definitely see you 2025.
All right. That's the show today. We do hope you've enjoyed everything we've been able to bring to you. Still one more edition of the show before we wrap things up for this week. Enjoy the rest of the day. We'll see you again tomorrow. I'm here, Bye-bye now.